This clip's brought to you by ServiceNow. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents.
What else struck you from these 2 weeks, JW?
I think the range of player. I mean, there was a time when we said, "Oh, teenagers don't have what it takes in terms of physicality." The young crowd held up their end of the bargain. I think just big picture. I mean, they're two guys. We talk about this all the time, but the facts on the ground are the facts on the ground. We came out of this gilded era with three towering champions who won 20 or more majors. They're two guys who have won each of the last 9 majors, and this was Carlos' turn. It was his turn at the U.S. Open. At Wimbledon, it was Sinner. I'm not sure we got a whole lot of intel. One of the big overarching questions is who's going to make a march against these two guys, and it ended up being the 38-year-old with 24 majors. And then on the women's side, I'm sort of fascinated by Sabalenka, who is number one. She's become this absolute bankable second week player, but she's got a real habit of losing tight finals, and we saw that again. I mean, she was up 3-0 in the third set, and she's the player who's won this thing 2 of the last 3 years. You figure she's going to close, and didn't come good. But no, I mean, honestly, it was a weird tournament. We didn't have a great controversy. We didn't have one of those matches that goes till 2 a.m. that everyone remembers. We didn't have a mid-tournament retirement. It was really kind of thin on storylines. The tennis kind of ruled the day. The festival atmosphere ruled the day. And then, boom, that was three great days of tennis to cap this thing.
Well, it's interesting. All the big storylines seem to be Cirstea yelling at Osaka looking like a jellyfish, Coco Gauff breaking a racket, and it was stuff that really wasn't match centric, right? It was almost tabloidal the first week, and so you cover it, and it's a story, and I have people asking me about, what was Osaka doing, and who inspired this outfit, and there's some people. There was also this narrative that I've been reading, and maybe I don't know if it's just the way I consume news, which is just on a news feed now, but it seemed like there was almost this counter movement where it's so popular and the players are, generally responsible citizens that we almost have to make, someone's trying to make Coco, into a polarizing figure. And this guy who we worked with, I did. I mean, he used to interview me. Literally, a 75-year-old man came out in an Australian article and said Coco was acting like a dickhead. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, you remember Craig Willis?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm like, he like posted about it. I'm like, he goes, this current, and then it starts getting into this like, what I never want to become.
Outrageous.
He called her called a 21-year-old young woman a dickhead for breaking a racket. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what is wrong with you? But then it starts like the older tropes where it's like the young players. And I saw, some people, mad at the players because, of the prize money thing and the share that they want. I think I want to mention really quickly that the players aren't demanding more cash that's not there. All right. It's a percentage. So if they're not getting, if they're getting 17% for context, the NBA players get close to 50% of the take, right? It's not as if they're saying, go find us more money and bring it to us. We want a percentage of the revenue that's already being generated, right? So if they're not getting it, that means someone who's not playing in any of the matches is getting it. Right? It's going somewhere. And they're just saying, shouldn't we be more of a beneficiary of the product that we're creating? And then you see this narrative of like, oh, well, they have, sound rooms and the food's great at the venue. And I'm going, yeah, who do you think creates that opportunity?
Right. But also, it's like saying, hey, we're not going to give you a raise this year, but we got a really expensive coffee machine in the break room. Like, if I'm a player, I'm like, thanks for the free Uggs.
Yeah, it's like fucking. It's like someone's gonna go fucking full Clark Griswold on the Christmas bonus.
That is a reference right there.
Thank you.
I always feel like these tournaments can't have it both ways, right? You can't send me the breathless, gushing press release about how many of the signature drinks you sold and how many fans in the Oval. I don't know. I never verified this, but there was a stat going around that like 1 out of 3 fans in Melbourne don't watch a point of tennis. They're there basically to hear the bands and to have a drink and to go to the Oval and to see the matches on the big screen. That's all great. But in one side, you can't tell me what a great tennis festival, and it spans 3 weeks, and it's 1.4 million fans, and all of the facts and figures, and then not bump up the percentage of. I think that's a really good point. We're not talking about going to the money tree in the backyard and somehow artificially. This is just about a split of a pie. Mm-hmm. And when you're telling us at one point, you do the back of the envelope math, right? And you send out a email about how the expensive the secondary market is for finals tickets and 1.4 million fans on the grounds. And then you say that they made how much? Keep in mind, too, the exchange rate is not favorable to athletes from Europe, where something like 999 of the last 100,000 champions are from. Exaggeration, but not by much. But look at this tournament in terms of euros, and far and away it is the least well-paying of the 4 majors. And you have this, we're breaking attendance marks, we're selling, there's that bar court. I don't know if they showed that at all. It's a cool concept that every place should, there's literally a bar of a full with a DJ and a turntable. We're not talking about like a keg and a guy with Dixie cups. I mean, this is a full sports bar overlooking a court.
This is my hell. Playing on that court would be my hell. By the way.
It's who played. There was a great match. It was Ayala against Parks, and it literally was like 2 players happened to be in the corner of the sports bar. There was like a DJ with a turntable. I don't know if you saw too. They sold daily shirts that had, so it didn't just say Australian Open 2026. It said final Saturday, Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina. There's merchandise. It's like there's food. There's drink. Exactly. No, right, exactly. It's like a concert T-shirt that's very specific. But my point is, you have all of these rivers of commerce. And then we say prize money went up 7% or whatever it is. And you say, well, that's funny. You're bragging about your attendance going through the roof and the number of signature, I forget what it's called, Lemon Ace or something. Everyone's imitating everyone at these majors. So we have a signature cocktail. I'm sure the 1-point slam is moving. But anyway, players, one of my takeaways is players deserve more money. Yeah.
The other thing that I always ask crazy questions. So here goes. One of my favorites is like, okay, all this happened and we bumped prize money 3% this year. So like, shut up, because just don't ask for anything because we bumped. Now, what I want to know is, was revenue up 7%?
Exactly. Right. We have a cold plunge this year.
Correct. Like the offset is like, there's nuance to these conversations. And I don't think, and like, I'm sure the comments are going to be litty if once I say this, I don't think it's like, there was outrage because, at one point you're saying like we need more than 70%, and then Coco makes X, and then she's like, oh, I thought I was in private. I wanted to break a racket. And they're like, well, you shouldn't want to break a racket if you make that much money. I'm like, but then also we get mad when athletes make a lot of money and then don't give a shit. Right. So it's like we have to have some consistency with our arguments, right? Or is it just a matter of writing something to get a click? I don't know.
That racket's probably worth more now than it was beforehand.
Fact.
Yeah, exactly. It's good for the. Could you imagine though, an athlete wanted a little bit of privacy before they blew off some heat after a stinging loss? I always feel like it's kind of a function of the tournament, right? People have to write something. So, a player doesn't like turned into a meme when there's surveillance cameras at every corner of a tournament. If the next match is semi-classic, we're not even talking about that. It's like water, nature abhors a vacuum. You got to write about something. So if they're great matches, nobody cares that Naomi Osaka says, come on, between first and second serves. But again, and it's always the case in these events, right? You have some mini controversy and you've manufactured outrage and you've got some silly story that travels in memes. And then in the end, kind of we call it the business end for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like the adults rule the show, and nobody's talking about mermaid dresses by the end of the tournament.
I have a question though, because as we're getting into this, and as you were chatting, I kind of thought of it. it's weird because we're simultaneously saying we have to do it for clicks, but then also we're announcing that 1 in 3 fans in week 1 or whatever it is don't actually watch the matches. Isn't that the same conversation, right? We're writing something for social media so it goes crazy and people are just going. And Sean, as our resident person who's not old, like, do you just go? Are you there for the gram? Is all of this the same conversation? Is it feeding a positive part of the ecosystem, which, you know, comes with a negative part of the ecosystem?
Yeah, I can't imagine myself going to an event like that and not watching whatever it's centered around. But I do think there's something to, if you're going to add all these extra pieces to an event, so it's like tennis, but then you do have all these concerts, you're going to attract people that just want to have a good time. So if you're not making tennis the center piece, then I don't know, you're just going to get a lot of people who just want to drink and listen to music, which I don't necessarily think is bad, but
I brought this up on the quick serve, but, you know, Carlos had this world famous DJ sitting in his booth or in his coach's box during one of his matches recently. And then the AO was also promoting her because she was playing a live show there at some point around the matches. And I think what they've created is a pathway to get people in and around the sport by offering them entertainment that isn't necessarily them going and sitting through a whole match, but then maybe by some circumstance, they find themselves becoming a fan of tennis.
Oh, yes.
All year, right? And
yes.
I think that it is all part of it, right? It's all part of it being Graham acceptable and being a wonderful experience. But I think it's one of the few sporting events that exists as somebody who takes my family to sporting events where I would like enjoy going with my kids. Like I don't take my kids to NFL games. Like it's not an enjoyable experience. Maybe a soccer game, but like we went to the Cincinnati Open last year with the girls and we had a great time. We were there for 5.5 hours and had a great time.
I feel like this was a little bit of a hedge. I mean, there's a lot going on here. It's actually a really interesting conversation. I think some of this was a hedge, right? That these guys got in a room and said, holy shit, you know, Roger's out, Novak's out, Serena's out. And if we've got to sell, you know, Joe against Sven, we need another reason to create this event here. So it goes beyond, I can't remember the DJ's name you've actually heard of. It's like Peggy Goo or something. Someone was telling me.
Yes,
I'm
Peggy
like,
Goo, thanink you.
I know, but I'm like, shit, I've heard of, I mean, you know, I'm in my 50s. I've heard of her. So it wasn't like they grabbed some rando from, no. Go check her out on Spotify, trust me. It goes, I mean, there were influencers. People were complaining that, you know, there's a match going on and Victoria Mboko's trying to serve out Clara Tauson and someone says, this is my third Aperol Spritz. There's a whole army of influencers. I think it probably was overdone. I think, Mike, you're right that some of the thinking is if 1 in 4 of these fans says, oh my God, this sport is amazing. This Lerner kid is incredible and he's lefty. If 1 in 4 of these fans walks away saying, I need to download some tennis apps and listen to Served and become a fan of the sport, we all win. It's a real balance. But again, I think a lot of this was done as a hedge of, oh shit, we've built these big stadiums. We've got all this infrastructure. And what are we going to do when it's not Roger and Rafa in the final, but it's, you know, Boris against whatever, Gennady.
Frankly, I don't give a shit how it happens. But what tennis has done a great job of through COVID and then post-COVID is capturing fandom after the first touch of exposure to our sport, right? So COVID comes, participation rates go through the roof because we've talked about this before, but like everything's going bonkers and all of a sudden someone's, I don't know, I want to do something. I want to see my friend. I want to do an activity. Tennis. I don't have to be next to you. You can cough and whatever. Like, and now it's like we're getting these little pieces of, it feels like we're capturing more fans, right? If it's because an influencer posts something, great. If it's because the tennis is the greatest thing I've ever seen, great. Let's just capture more fans. Let's keep them. Let's hold them close. And then let's fucking let Carlos and Jannik and Aryna and Rybakina go do their thing.
Yep.
Why do we care where they come from?
Yeah,
Why do they care what the motives were? My motives are better than your motive. Like, just bring them all in. It's a massive tent. Let's take everyone.
Yep. And we saw, and we got a great example of that, right? And I even think some of it was about the level of tennis, some of it was about the drama. I think the diversity of this sport, right? I mean, nobody says I love Carlos, but who's that woman who won the women's? I mean, this sport has so much going for it. You know, all this bitching about, I don't know if you guys caught this, and maybe we're all just in our social media echo chambers, but you know, the Rybakina wins a major and she celebrates as if she got Wordle on the fourth try. Like there was a lot of bitching about this. Why is she withholding emotion? She should be doing somersaults. And I'm thinking, this is our fucking sport where you can win a major and barely crack a smile and you're Mona Lisa walking to the net. And you can also fall flat on your back like Carlos, and you can drive a go-kart in your off day, or you can, I mean, it's the ability of this sport to accommodate ages, genders, body sizes. Learner plays nothing like whoever. Zverev. I mean, it's just, I thought that was really on full display here. And if we're talking about getting these, we're not even talking about casual fans, right? I mean, we're talking about fans who are coming to drink Aperol spritzes and watch a DJ. If I'm 1 in 4 of those walk away saying, actually, this is a really friggin' cool sport.
I'm coming next year.
We all
I might even watch
I'm
a match.
coming next year. Yeah. Yeah.
Be great.
Or I'm watching Wimbledon, you know, or hey, when's Roland Garros running around? Hey, there's a tournament in Indian Wells. I'll be in LA. Maybe I'll pop up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if 1 in 4 of those fans can be converted, we're all doing okay.
Yeah. Tennis is just, and I say it at the end of, it feels like I say it ad nauseum at the end of every slam right now, but tennis is just winning. It's just winning. Like you're taking, you know, what Billie Jean and Arthur Ashe and what they started building and the visions they had, and then it grows and grows. And it has this moment in the 80s where, you know, McEnroe still sells more sneakers than, you know, than Larry Bird for a while. And then it ebbs and flows. And now it just feels like on the backs of the previous generation, it's just going. It's just going and it's adapting, and it's no longer like, no one looks at it now in the offering and the way the players dress and the way players look, and no one points at it right now and goes, oh, it's that antiquated sport. It's that sport that's like stuck in them. Like it's crazy. Yes, that's what we want. The game is the same. We have historical context. We have all this new cool shit. And then we still can talk about how Carlos compares to, you know, Ivan Lendl. And it's fantastic. It's such a great spot for the sport to be in.